S is a super ship version of your boat. You have to, and you should get it. A is a pure buff, but probably not like quite a super ship power level. B is a good side grade on a ship worth playing. C is a decent side grade on bad ship, or bad or mediocre side grade on a good ship. How about that? So like, I would put both of those kinds of ledge mods into here, right? Like it's a good ledge mod, but the ship is ass, or it's a dubious ledge mod, but you maybe still want to play the ship, and then like either the ship is so unworth playing, or the ledge mod is just objectively horrific. So here's the hot take. We're gonna start off with a hot take. Colombo ledge mod with this set of definitions is not an S tier ledge mod. It isn't. Colombo ledge mod is not the super ship version of Colombo. It's a pure buff. You have to get this buff if you want to play Colombo. It is not a super ship buff. There actually is a difference. There are, in my opinion, some super ship buffs. But the Colombo buff is not the super ship buff. It is a pure buff, and you always want to use it, but it does not magically turn your ship up a whole tier, right? People like pretend. This is what happened. The people who never played Colombo and always thought it was ass, who were objectively wrong, started playing Colombo when it got the ledge mod, and then they were like, oh, the Colombo ledge mod feels like a super ship. It's like, for those of us who played Colombo when it came out, and then also played it a lot post-buff, and then kept playing it with the ledge mod, if you've played Colombo the whole way through, you know that this is not a super ship ledge mod. It's a pure buff, but it is not super ship level. The gears. What is the gear? The gears is Conqueror. That's definitely C. And I would put that in the latter category, mediocre side grade on a good ship. Basically the Conch ledge mod, the true value of it is you basically gain like, God, I'm blanking. Thunderer. You basically gain Thunderer turning. Let me pull up. You basically gain Thunderer rudder shift on Conqueror. That is you do get like some steering repair time as well, I believe. But that's not really, I mean, that doesn't really matter, because like realistically, if your steering gears go out in a battleship and you need them, you're not even going to wait like the 15 seconds that they magically repair. But basically what it does is it gives Conqueror pretty much the same rudder shift as the Thunderer. But the problem that I have with that is that that's not really like the point of you know what I mean? Like, Conqueror doesn't care if it eats damage. So to try to like super aggressively juke, it, like, to me, is irrelevant. Like, when you play Conqueror, you literally don't care. As long as you're not taking citadels, you don't care if someone 30Ks you with Colombo sap. Like, that, it's literally irrelevant. You almost want it to happen, because then you can abuse Adrenaline Rush, and then you can heal up later. And what you want in Conqueror, like, Conqueror's true asset, right? We just went over this because I played Bungo with HE only and did like 230k damage. Bungo is a better HE spammer. Conqueror is not uniquely good at HE spamming. Conqueror is uniquely good at tanking damage. And if you want to solely tank damage in Conqueror, you're better off either running Concealment, or you're better off running Prop Mod, or you're better off running the literal, like, the consumables duration upgrade in slot 5, which gives you an extra 5,000 HP per heal. It's just a super, like, questionable ledge mod. Also, Conqueror is not that good of a ship. I would almost define this as like a mediocre ledge mod on a mediocre ship. But Conqueror is like an okay boat. Like, Conqueror is still probably worth playing because you can tank a funny amount of damage. But if I want to tank a funny amount of damage in Conqueror, I definitely will not be. My God, dude, I really just can't think today. I won't be taking this. I will be taking consumables. This is the torp for daring. I'm tempted to put that all the way down in D. It's definitely in C or lower, but is it a terrible never use ledge mod? I would say yeah, it probably is. Because if you don't take concealment, this, in case you don't know what this does, is it gives you significantly harder hitting torpedoes on daring at the cost of you now have, what is it, 6.3 kilometer detect. So basically you give up any ability that daring has to hunt destroyers because 6.3, because remember daring's very slow. So that 0.3 km range detect difference means you go from fairly consistently counter-spotting ships like Shima, fairly consistently evading ships like Marceau and Kleb, to now evading the crazy gunboats is really hard, and catching the crazy stealth boats is really hard. And daring pretty much always gets, even in a game where you're hitting torps, you're probably going to get 80% of your damage via guns and fires. That's the whole point of the ship. So you're trying to spec into torps that aren't really worth using. Like, daring torps are a nice little tool to have. People have the Conk AG spam brain rot and forget its real purpose. Yeah, the real purpose of Conk is tanking. Like, that's it. That's why you play the boat. You play the boat because it cannot die. If you don't take torps or citadels, it actually just cannot die. People have to do like 300,000 damage to you to kill it. So if you want to play Conk in 2025, to me, like, my Lion build in ranked, right? It's silly. In my mind, it's actually the objectively correct Conqueror Lion build. That's the point of the ship, is tanking damage, and you just build into that. Like, again, evading damage in Conk, like, who cares? Who fucking cares? Also, your turrets turn like ass in Conk, so having a god tier rudder shift is also kind of ass. Because, like, if you're actively maneuvering with the rudder shift that the ledge mod gives you, you just don't get your guns on target ever anyway. Like, who cares? But the daring ledge mod is terrible. It's on a great ship. It's on a great ship. Like, you should play daring, but, like, daring gets damage via guns. So gimping your ability to evade gunboats and to catch stealth torp boats to make your torps 15% better is, like, actually insane work. This one is... Is this the Des Moines ledge mod? Isn't this the Des Moines ledge mod? Does anyone know? I think this is the Des Moines ledge mod, right? I'm tempted to put the Des Moines in A or B. It's at least B. It's at minimum B. It's not a pure buff. You can't... Again, we're trying to be technical about our terminology. You're going up a whole tier in power level. You're, no questions asked, making the ship superior than any other upgrade you could run. And then this is a great side grade. It's at least B, but is the Des Moines ledge mod a pure buff? Because you are giving up, what, 13% DPM? But you're gaining a ton of survivability. So that is a side grade, right? Like, if this ledge mod kept your DPM, or let's say it gave you, right? If this is why Colombo is a pure buff, right? If Colombo's ledge mod was only, if it was only minus 6% main battery dispersion and kept the turret traverse nerf from reload mod, Colombo would probably not be a pure buff, and it would probably be a good side grade. But what makes Colombo a pure buff is that you get half the value of reload mod, you lose the negative aspect of reload mod, and your ship is more accurate, right? So it's a pure buff. But the Des Moines is not, technically speaking, a pure buff. It is more of a side grade. You're gaining a substantial amount of survivability because you can juke on islands a lot easier. If you make a mistake and you go flat, you can get out of danger faster, right? But you are giving up a reasonably large amount of DPM. You're giving up something like 35,000 HE DPM. It's all. I almost feel like it's exactly halfway in the middle. I almost feel like it's literally exactly here. It's half a like I feel like overall the Des Moines is better with this, but it's not. There are situations where you'd rather have the DPM. Like there's no situation you wouldn't want Colombo's ledge mod in, right? Sap spamming bow in targets, you'd rather be slightly more accurate at 6% reload. Broadsides, you'd much rather have this. Like, there's no situation you'd ever not want Colombo's ledge mod. Where there are definitely situations, like if there's no BBs trying to overmatch you and you're radaring DDs, you do actually kind of want the DPM. You do kind of miss it. You know, you radar someone for 45 seconds in Des Moines, and ledge mod versus reload mod is the equivalent of like missing 2 salvos on the DD. We'll keep it in B for now. How about that? For now, we'll keep it in B. This is YY? Right? There's three small guns, and I can never keep them straight. Is this the YY one, or is this the Y? No, YY has the gearing style turret, so this is YY. Oh, this is Elbing? Oh, so YY's turret doesn't even match. Okay, interesting. Elbing is a pure buff. Must get. Is Elbing the super ship version of itself with the buff? I'd say it's halfway. It's legitimately halfway between A and S. Because you sacrifice a meaningless amount of DPM to not only get more of the thing is you don't sacrifice DPM. You actually gain DPM in Elbing because you never miss out on damage with the turrets, and you now go 12% faster. It completely changes the Elbing experience. Elbing goes from a fun, challenging ship to the king of the seas. I'm actually tempted to put it in S. Is it the super ship version of Elbing? Like, if you took old Elbing and I told you the super ship version goes 45 knots instead of 40 knots, and the turrets turn like greased lightning, and all you do is give up, like, what is it, 6% damage output? I think you'd say that that's a meaningful change to the super ship. It's at least A. We'll leave it an A for now, but it's at least A. Okay, one of these is gearing and one of these is Kleber, right? I'm probably going to mix these up. But I feel like this is gearing. And I would say gearing's probably a B. Maybe even a C. It's a very mediocre side grade in this is where this is the only ledge mod. This is probably one of like 2 ledge mods that actually changes in game mode. Because gearing is a good side grade in clan battles, but a very mediocre side grade in random. This one is Kleb? Okay. Really? I thought gearing had the little radar. Okay. Like in randoms, it's C. It's a mediocre side grade on a good ship in randoms, but in clan battles, it's a good side grade on a good ship. I think most people aren't playing gearing in clan battles anyway, and I think ultimately the biggest value of this is like you're not going to get a ledge mod just for clan battles, right? Also, if you have summers, you play that in clan battles instead of gearing. There's other ships to play, so we're going to put it in C. It's pretty mediocre. The way spotting works in this game is so bad that like when you push in and your gearing now has 5-6 detect, you effectively don't like outspot things anyway unless you're kiting and someone slightly faster than you pushes into your concealment. That's kind of the only situation where that concealment like really helps you. And then you just give up like torp DPM, and that's kind of the point of gearing is good torp DPM. So it's definitely in randoms a bad side grade, and then in clan battles good. So I think overall we'll probably keep it in C. Double guns. This is GK. Is the GK ledge mod a terrible ledge mod? it was worth using in ranked. To be fair, the GK ledge mod was not bad only in ranked. It's always been terrible. Please don't use in randoms and clan battles. I mean, you wouldn't play GK in clan battles anyway. Please don't use. How about this? Or play this ship. There you go. Don't use the ledge mod or play the ship. Then it's a little more specific. I think it's definitely D, because you definitely wouldn't play GK, and if you did, this ledge mod would only be useful in ranked. But then if you're playing GK in ranked, the pricing exists. I don't know. Golden Lion ledge mod is S. You are a super ship Golden Lion with the ledge mod. Unquestionably. Unquestionably, you are now a super ship. One of the craziest ledge mods in the game. Like, what would they have to... Like, think about this, right? If they made a super Golden Lion in the tech tree, how overpowered would it have to be for people to not say, just play ledge mod Guden, bro? Right? How OP would ledge mod Guden have to be, or super ship Guden have to be, for you to not just play the ledge mod version of it? It would have to be insanely OP. It would have to be a tier 12 ship. So we're definitely putting that one. I mean, like, it's crazy. You give up a literal meaningless amount of DPM because the ship has trash guns anyway to just fucking just demolish people with their, like, yeah, no questions. Kleb, I actually am going to put in B. I actually think the Kleb is a good side grade. It's a pure side grade, right? It totally changes the boat. You become like a 6'2", 6'3" detect. You basically become a smokeless Paolo Emilio. That's probably the best way to put it. But honestly, better than Paolo Emilio because you have an absurd torp DPM. You can stealth torp unlike Paolo. It's a wicked ledge mod in clan battles and ranked. Like, actually a wicked ledge mod in clan battles. At least in NA, a lot of people run ledge mod Kleb. Because you can go 60 knots with... You can go 60 knots for 4 minutes at a time with Swift and Silence. If there's no radar, you're actually the scariest torpedo boat in the game in tier 10 if they don't have radar. Like, literally, like, this is a Cassard with double twice as fast of a reload, right? It's a nightmare fuel ship. If you do not have radar, this ship is nightmare fuel to play against. But it's a pure side grade, right? Like, overall, Gun Kleb is probably better, certainly in randoms and ranked overall. But the side grade is good. It is not a meme side grade. It is definitely not a meme side grade. It is a very solid side grade. It's hard to play in randoms, but in ranked, I mean, having the 1 minute torp reload, and you can rush a cap, you beat... No DD can get to a cap as fast as you because you go 60 knots with Swift and Silence. You sprint to the cap, you shit out 12 85 knot torps. And, like, the amount of times in ranked and clan battles you can just one-shot a DD before they don't even know you exist yet, and you can one-shot them because you can sprint to the cap and torp it before they even get there. There's a lot of maps. There's a lot of maps in the game. Like, I can't remember the names of any of the maps, but like the Thunderdome map and Northern Lights, I do remember the name of that one. There's a couple of caps on this map that Kleb can sprint through the cap to get to an island, and no other ship other than Swift and Silence Kleb can get there, and Swift and Silence Ledge Mod Kleb because of the better concealment. So there's things you can do, particularly in clan battles and a bit in ranked, that you cannot do in any ship that isn't Ledge Kleb. And it's pretty silly too. The ammo rack, that's Grozovoy. That's going in C tier for the latter reason. Mediocre side grade on a good ship. I think Grozovoy is a good ship. I think this ledge mod is actually... I'm tempted to put it in D, but we'll put it in C. Grozovoy has very useful torpedoes with a very comfy torpedo reload of almost exactly 2 minutes. And 2 minute torp reloads, I've said this in a lot of YouTube reviews, 2 minute torp reload is a very crucial threshold to hit because most smokes last about 2 minutes. Like the Russian smoke lasts about 2 minutes. So if you're in the Grozovoy and you send your torps and you have to smoke up. Like you make a play, you send torps, and then immediately have to smoke up. You cannot sit in your smoke and reload your torps in time if someone's rushing you. You have to give up the smoke long before the torps are ready. And you don't have to do that if you don't take the ledge mod. And to be honest, it's only 6% DPM buff. And Grows does not have that high of DPM. I do not think it's very good, personally. I think giving up the just fast enough to be comfortable torp reload is not worth. What the fuck is this? I cannot remember this one, lads. Holland? Oh, Holland, yeah, because it's in the dock. Man, dude, if Holland was worth playing, I would put this in A. If Holland was worth playing, I actually think this ledge mod is mega. It's just on a dog shit boat. But if Holland was good, it would probably be a pure buff ledge mod. Because it makes you a complete cockroach. I'm going to say it's a decent side grade on a bad ship. I'm a Holland hater. I can't help it. I hate that ship. But I actually think the ledge mod is like really good. But I would just never play Holland. But I do think the ledge mod is really, really good. It makes you very hard to kill. It makes you very, very hard to kill. You can run 5 heal spec because this gives you... Basically what it does is it lets you heal 75% of damage you receive. I believe it's 75%, right? Let me fact check myself here. I think it's 75%. Sudermanland. That's the ledge mod Holland. Yeah, 75%. Kind of crazy. And you get 4 base. So with Superintendent, you can have 5 heal spec, which is 70% of your ship's total HP can be recovered if you run the healing flag, which obviously you obviously would. If you run the heal flag, then that 70% goes up to like something like 85%. So you can effectively heal about 20,000 HP with 5 heal spec ledge mod Holland. And remember, on DDs that includes torp damage. So like if you're in a Holland and you eat a midship Shima torp for 21k damage, you could actually recover like 17,000, 16,000 of that health, which is insane. Obviously, it'll take you a long time to recover it, but like you can hit a Shima torp in ledge mod Holland, and 5 minutes later, you can get back in the fight on 20,000 HP, which is crazy. Like, it is a cockroach, for sure. I just don't play Holland. What ledge mod Holland is? It gives you an extra consumable, and your repair becomes a 75% efficiency repair snow. So you can run 5 heal spec Holland, and you have 20,000 HP of healing, which gives your ship overall more health, not more. It gives your ship almost the same health as Ragnar with 3 heals on Ragnar, but it's the most efficient heal in the game for DDs. It's a 75% heal. So, like I said, you can literally hit a 20k damage Shima torp, and if you go dark for 5 minutes and burn through 4 heals, you can come back on like 80% HP. But I hate Holland. Like, I don't know why I would never play Holland. But the ledge mod is great. This is the smoke gen mod on Harugumo. For like randoms and ranked, it's terrible. Please don't use or play the boat. It might still be that. The only value that this ledge mod has is super, 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 super niche clan battle strats. Like super niche clan battle strats. And the problem is that the Harugumo doesn't even like do the smoke bot wall as well as Gearing does. Yeah, but it's not just for a smoke bot, Magellan, because if you want a pure smoke bot, the Gearing is still better. If you run like all the flags and consumable and everything in the upgrade on Gearing, it's still a better smoke bot. So you're playing Smokebot Haru to then also camp in the smoke. But then the problem is you need another DD with you to do the spotting. So like you can't just drop the smoke and go do destroyer things because this takes the spot of your concealment. So if you run this, your Harugumo has like 6'8", 6'9" detect, something like that. So you give up any ability you have to ever spot a destroyer for your team. So the only strats that really work with Ledge-Mod Haru are low smoke fire penalty radar cruiser with Ledge-Mod Harugumo with another destroyer scouting. Honestly, Gearing does it better. That's kind of my point, yeah. That basically is my point, is that Gearing is just a better smoke bot. Like if you want a smoke bot in Gearing, you run Ledge-Mod Gearing, right? And you run Ledge-Mod Gearing, you take the smoke gen mod in slot 3, you take the 2-point captain skill for 10% extra puff time, you take the flag, and Gearing has like the same wall of smoke that lasts for even longer than Haru, right? It's definitely dog shit. Definitely dog shit. 3 guns. I know one of these is Henry. Is this the Henry one? And one is Repub. Is this Repub? No, that's... Why does it have 3 turrets? Oh, this one. That one's Repub. That one's Repub. Yeah, this is Repub. This is Kremlin, right? The super sloped armor one. This is Kremlin. I think this is Henry. The first is Henry? Okay, yeah. I would say Henry is... Dude, I'm actually a Ledge-Mod Henry hater. I'm unironically a hater of Henry Ledge-Mod. This is why I am a hater of Henry Ledge-Mod. French. I don't even have Henry. I think I sold Henry because I never play it. I'm honestly not a fan. So, the reason why you get the reason why you use... Yeah, because I just played Condi. The reason why you play Henry Ledge-Mod is you want to play Lighthouse Henry. Bro, what? Okay. The reason why you play Ledge-Mod Henry is solely to play... Go to equipment. There we go. Solely to play Lighthouse Henry, okay? So the Ledge-Mod does 3 things. It adds 5% firing range, which is literally worthless and meaningless. 100% worthless and meaningless. The ship has crazy base range, okay? You have crazy base range of 19 kilometers. It's honestly more range than you really even need on Henry to begin with. It's fine. The base range does not need to be buffed by 1 km. It's totally it's 100% meaningless. The ship detectability range is also 100% meaningless because your detectability range is 16.1 kilometers. You are going to run heavy HE on a Lighthouse Henry. That is going to nerf your concealment by 15%, right? That is going to change your concealment from 16.1 to about 18.5. So you're going to have 18.5 km range, and you're going to have 19.1 km main battery firing range. So you don't need to buff the range, and you don't need to nerf the concealment anymore. So the actual point of this Ledge-Mod, there is exactly one of 3 things that it really does, which is it gives you 10% DPM, right? That is all it does. I know it lists 3 things and people jerk themselves off over, we're even less stealthy. We have more range. No, literally meaningless. You don't need either of those things. It's the main battery reload. So basically what you do on Henry is normally on Lighthouse Henry, you run Steering Gears Mod 2. You change out Steering Gears Mod 2 for the Ledge-Mod. However, if you look at Henry, you will see that Henry has a very good turning circle of 840 and a very okay rudder shift of 11.2. If you run steering gears on Henry, you go from 11-second rudder shift to about an 8-second rudder shift, which makes you turn like a god. So whenever you push in, because inevitably there will be games in your Lighthouse Henry, you actually have to stop wanking your cock in base, and you're going to have to push in. And when you push in, having steering gear mod 2 on your Lighthouse Henry means instead of getting nuked for 40k through the bow by Vermont, you dodge half the salvo. So it is a side grade. You are choosing, do I want 10% DPM or do I want significantly better maneuverability? So that is the question. So I don't like Henry, but I'm going to try to put my bias aside and say it's a good side grade on a good ship. The problem is Condi exists, so you could just play Lighthouse Condi. You know, and it's like way better. Like way, way, way better than Lighthouse Henry. But I don't think Henry is a bad ship, even though I despise the playstyle of Lighthouse Henry. I think it's actually like disgusting that people even can enjoy that. But trying to put the bias aside, it's a good side grade because 10% DPM is nice, but it is a side grade. It is not a pure buff, even if you play Lighthouse Henry. We've got, this is, no, not Montana. This is Hindenburg? I think the axe and hammer is Monty, right? Yeah, that looks like a German helmet. That's a German looking helmet, isn't it? That is, Hindenburg is, I would put it in C, mediocre side grade on a good ship. The theory of Hindenburg's upgrade is you are playing Lighthouse Hindenburg. So one, you have to play Lighthouse Hindenburg. That's non-negotiable, basically, if you want to run the Hindi Ledge mod. And basically the Hindi Ledge mod means you take like basically no fire and flooding damage. It goes in your concealment slot. You take basically no fire and flooding damage. Your guns repair in half the time. The fires last half as long. The floods last a third as long. And you have better rudder shift. So the problem, though, is that you have to play Lighthouse Hindenburg. And Lighthouse Hindenburg is not... What kills you in First of all, what kills you in Hindenburg... Let me ask you a question. Do you flood much in Hindenburg? Are you flooding in your 6-kilometer hydro cruiser? What do we think? Are we flooding in Hindenburg? Is that what we do in Hindenburg? We hit torps and flood? Hopefully not, right? I would say if the fire part and the flood parts were swapped, this would go up a whole tier. The fires lasting 60% as long is nice, but if the fires lasted 30% as long and the floods lasted 60% as long, I think this would probably go up a whole tier because you just never take fire damage in Hindi, right? You never take it, which would be kind of cool. But like, Hindenburg ultimately does not die to fires and floods, in my experience. You know, I do play quite a bit of Hindenburg. What kills Hindenburg is getting point and clicked by overmatched BBs. Morning, Prox. How you doing? Is it worth to get coal hydro mod for Z52? I would say on Z52 you could, but it's not the same as Z42 because Z42 coal hydro mod allows you to smoke trap potentially 3. It allows you to cover 3 smoke screens with 1 hydro, whereas Z's smoke is so bad that you're never... that's not going to be a thing. I probably wouldn't invest in it, but you can. I mean, it will let you like hydro a cap longer, but it doesn't change how you smoke hydro. But I would say it's a mediocre side grade on a good ship. Overall, I think Hindenburg is best with full conceal because one of Hindenburg's biggest assets is the AP. And if you play Lighthouse Hindenburg, you almost completely give up on ever trying to use the AP. Because you just are never within like 16 km of enemy ships. And Hindenburg AP is like super mega in like that 12 to 16 kind of kilometer range on broadside upper belt BBs. That's kind of the real sweet spot for pumping AP damage into people in Hindenburg. Even if they're a bit angled, you can snipe upper belt at medium range. At long range, you're not really sniping upper belt when they angle. And like, to me, that is one of Hindenburg's greatest assets, is that it does outspot most battleships with 12-6 detect, and you can kind of bide your time, especially if you're on low HP, and wait for them to shoot, and then you can pump obscene amounts of AP damage into them. So you kind of give up the ability to do that. So I don't think Lighthouse Hindenburg is like as good as Concealment Hindenburg. But if you wanted to play Lighthouse Hindenburg, then I would say this is a good ledge mod, right? I would say it's a good ledge mod if you want to play Lighthouse Hindenburg, but I don't think Lighthouse Hindenburg is good. As good as Conceal Hindenburg. Kaba? Kaba or YY? I think this is Kaba, right? The thing is whether this ledge mod is better than steering. Yeah, it's better than steering gear upgrade, Alberto. I would say 100%. Because you get half the benefit of steering gear on Hindenburg, and you also gain like immunity to flood and fire. So yeah, I would say it's definitely, it's if you play Lighthouse Hindenburg, it's great. Great ledge mod if you play Lighthouse Hindenburg. But I don't think Lighthouse versus Concealment Hindenburg is like 50-50. They're both great. I think Concealment Hindenburg is great, and Lighthouse Hindenburg is just like AFK damage farming, whatever. I think it's Kaba. Kaba is, I'm almost tempted to put it in D, but I think we'll put it in C for now. Kaba ledge mod number 1 is a side grade. I used to be of the opinion that it was a pure buff and you had to have it to play Kaba. I will say, though, that Steering Gear's Kaba is, I don't want to say better, but it depends on how you want to play Kaba. Basically, your choice is steering or ledge mod on Khabarovsk, right? Let's go to tier 10 Russian destroyers. So the ledge mod is 10% range, 6% DPM, minus 20% consumable action time. So number 1, the minus 20% consumable action time actually blows ass. Okay, it's a serious big deal, especially because Kaba got the improved heal recently, and so you're basically gimping the crazy healing. So you go from crazy healing on Kaba to good healing on Kaba. That's number 1. You gain the gun range. The gun range is great. The DPM is fine, 6% DPM, sure. Mainly the big thing is just getting the gun range, right? You go from 13.5 to what? 13.5 max to what? 14.8 max, something like that. But you give up steering gear because the original choice on Kaba is rudder shift time. And Kaba's single biggest problem is rudder shift. You have a very respectable turning circle, especially considering this is a gunboat. Very few gunboats have as good of a turning circle as Khabarovsk. None of them have a rudder shift this bad. So, when you take steering gears on Kaba, you actually can turn. The amount of Shima torps you've hit in Kaba, exactly, Prox. Exactly. Kaba gobbles torpedoes like no destroyer in the game. It's like if Elbing was twice as big of a brick, it would approach Kaba level of torp gobbling. So, the rudder shift basically gives you the ability to eventually push and stop being AFK. If you don't take rudder and you try to push in Kaba, you are just a fucking brick. You're an absolute fucking brick. You eat torps, you eat damage. So the question is is the gun range. Here's the question. Okay, let's say you're open water farming only. What dodges more damage for you in Kaba? Playing farther away by 1 kilometer and having more range, so being farther away and slightly harder to hit, or having twice as good of turning? What dodges more gun damage in Kaba? I would argue it's almost exactly a wash. Almost exactly a wash. And then steering gears allows you to push. So I do not consider this a pure buff. It makes the ship more relaxing to play in the sole AFK kite roll. It makes it like more stress free because you point and click. You know, you just spam guns at 14.5 instead of 13.5. But I don't think it's a pure buff. I would call it a decent. We were putting it in the former category. A decent side grade on a bad ship. Makes it easier to AFK. Exactly. Yep. It's gonna go in the former half of C. Decent side grade on a bad ship. There's no reason to play Kaba, especially with Hull, dude. Hull exists. Kaba Ledge Mod is a third the price of Hull. And Hull has better guns, better survivability, better torps. Tough. Better AA. Truly tough. Truly a tough moment for Khabarovsk. Kaba is, in fact, really down bad. Okay. That was Henry. This is Kremlin, right? Or is this Kremlin? This looks like a Kremlin turret to me. Kremlin upgrade is interesting. Because they recently buffed it. It no longer gives you the dispersion nerf. Or not the dispersion nerf, the consumable nerf. Kremlin Ledge Mod used to be objectively D tier. It used to be objectively a D tier Ledge Mod. Because it took a whole consumable away, and Kremlin is already quote-unquote balanced by having bad consumable count. So the Ledge Mod, all it does is give you... it gives you 6% extra DPM, and it must be said, what people overlook is it takes away the turret traverse nerf of Reload Mod and nerfs your range. So Kremlin normally has, what, 20.6 kilometer base range? So it cuts your range in Kremlin down to about 19. Won't the range decrease nerf your dispersion? It will slightly nerf your dispersion, Magellan. That is correct. It'll nerf your vertical dispersion by about 1 to 2%. But it will give you... what it does is it gives you 6% bonus DPM and removes the turret traverse hit. So if you thought Kremlin turrets turn like Grease Lightning now, they turn like Grease Lightning Plus when you run Ledge Mod, because you, instead of turning in 34.5 seconds, they turn in 30 seconds because there's no hit to turret traverse. So you gain a bit of turret traverse. You gain about 1 second off the reload. 1.5 seconds off the reload, something like that. So the reason why I don't think it's terrible anymore is if you're playing hyper aggro Kremlin, then it's a pure buff, right? If you're playing hyper aggressive Kremlin, this is a pure buff. If you're sprinting to a rock in the middle of the map and holding it until you die, which is personally how I play Kremlin, it's how I play it, then this Ledge Mod is what you want, because you're not fighting anyone past like 12 kilometers anyway, right? But if you're trying to play a more balanced open water version of Kremlin where there's a bit of kiting, a bit of pushing, a bit of kiting, a bit of pushing, then obviously it's bad because you lose range and a tiny bit of vertical dispersion. So, you know, my hot take is I think most people hate this Ledge Mod. I actually think it's probably B. And especially if you play Kremlin in like ranked, I mean, kind of suffering because of Los Andes. Again, if your play style in Kremlin is push, 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 then it's great. And Kremlin is a good ship, right? It's not, I mean, people pretend that Kremlin's bad now, but Kremlin is still a good ship. I mean, if you play Kremlin like a monkey, like I do, if you play it like a monkey, it's good, right? This is Minotaur. S. Smoke Minotaur with ledge mod is super ship Minotaur. There's no other way to put it. It's way better than Edgar. Edgar has nothing on ledge mod Smoke Minnow. Smoke Edgar actually has nothing. Honestly, Edgar is one of the worst super ships in the game. Stay woke. So this isn't hard to say that. Like, Minnow is already a more useful ship than Edgar because all Edgar has is more DPM that you can't use because of the shitty AP and a Troll Citadel. So, like, to me, Minnow is already, like, objectively a better ship than Edgar anyway. But if you play Smoke Minnow, Ledge Mod turns it into Super Ship Minnow. Radar Minnow enjoyers are having a heart attack right now. Yeah, Radar Minotaur is more fun than Smoke Minotaur. Although, actually, I say that, it's more fun solo. Radar Minnow is more fun solo than Smoke Minnow. Smoke Minnow in more games is going to be just better. That's the sad reality. If there's subs and CVs, Smoke Minnow is better. If there's low DD count, Smoke Minnow is better. There's a lot of games where either of those things are true. But Ledge Mod Smoke Minnow is twice the ship of normal Smoke Minnow. It feels like you got a tier 12 version of Smoke Minnow when you use the Ledge Mod. It's unbelievable. It's one of the best Ledge Mods in the fucking game. Let me put it this way. This is how good Ledge Mod Smoke Minnow is. I have over 500 games in Minotaur. Before I got the Ledge Mod, I had less than 20 games in Smoke Minotaur. I hated Smoke Minotaur. I thought Smoke Minotaur was a bitch, trash, garbage ship. You have 3 puffs of smoke. You're stuck in the smoke. You get torped out of the smoke. You get blind fire dev struck in the smoke. Ass. Radar is king. I played 3 games of Ledge Mod Minnow and basically never played Radar Minnow again. It's that much better. It changes the entire experience of playing Smoke Minnow from this pansy-ass 3 smoke puff, stuck in a smoke, getting torped out, getting blind fired to, like, just incredibly high game impact. You can pull off ridiculous monkey plays in Ledge Mod Smoke Minnow. You actually dominate positions on the map more in Ledge Mod Smoke Minnow than you do in Radar Minnow because Ledge Mod Smoke Minnow is 12 minutes of a no-go zone. It is 12 almost uninterrupted minutes of 700,000 AP DPM in smoke. It's like getting a crawling smoke. Yeah, it is a Vampire 2 crawling smoke and a like Russian smoke in the same smoke screen. You get 90 seconds of action time and 90 seconds of duration time. So you can puff, even at quarter speed, you can puff like 3 to 4 kilometers in a row. And then at the end where you can smoke and crawl and then decide where you want to actually smoke from after crawling in it. Like, it is the best smoke screen in the game by a factor of a minimum of 2. It's unbelievable. It is, like I said, in my first probably 300 games in Minotaur, it was like 95% radar, 5% smoke. Since getting Ledge Mod, it is probably flipped to 80% smoke, 20% radar. It's that good. One of the best Ledge Mods in the game. The only explanation I have for people not rating it highly when they do reviews of unique upgrades is they just don't take the time to change their play style. I'm not a cruiser player, but if I were, I would play Smoke, Ledge Mod Minnow, and Random. Yeah, it's just amazing. It's actually amazing. It's just a pure and you pair this with 4-point AA skill, and you are smoked up for 12 minutes. 1 CV sending planes through your smoke, 1 squadron flying through your smoke after it's been set, it deletes the 30-second gap where you go without smoke screens. So you can, in many games, and there's more planes, right? There's more and more planes every game these days. I've had games in Ledge Mod Smoke Minnow, I literally haven't left smoke for 12 minutes. 12 minutes of crawling around the map and farming damage. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I put up a replay a week ago. There's a replay on my YouTube channel of a Ledgemod Smoke Minotaur game, and the amount of bullshit. Like, there's a Yamato, I can just crawl a smoke at him and farm him. Like, there's so much bullshit that you can do. You can lay a wall of smoke for your teammates and smoke farm in a different position. Like, it's unbelievable. Okay, we're just rambling. I would suck its dick if I could. This is Montana. Montana is a good ship, and Montana Ledgemod is honestly a good side grade. It really is. I think it's probably B. It's probably B. You give up concealment for significantly better maneuverability and less fire duration on you. You gain the second best. Well, now that Los Andes exist, well, now that those ships exist in tier 10, you go from one of the worst rudder shifts in the game to one of the best rudder shifts in the game. And Montana turning circle isn't completely terrible. It's 950, but the rudder shift is 22 seconds. So when you take Ledgemod Montana, you have a normal rudder shift, like a good rudder shift. It's not as good as Thunderer, but it's actually almost as good as Thunderer. It goes down to like 13 seconds, 13 and a half seconds. So you get really comfy rudder shift, and you get minus 10% fire and flood duration for giving up concealment. So if you give up concealment on Montana, you get what, 15.5 km detect. So you go from 14 to 15.5 detect, but you're way more maneuverable, and you take 10% less fire and flood damage. So I think it's a good side grade, and Montana is a good ship. Again, we're trying to specify the definition of the tiers so that there's like, it's more objective this way, right? Like, I don't play Ledgemod Montana because I don't play Montana really. But like, it's definitely good in a lot of games, right? Because like 14-kilometer detect on a battleship, the way you can think of it like this is like, you don't outspot anything in Montana, right? With 14 km detect, there's no ship in the game that you gain spotting advantage on. So does it really hurt you to nerf your concealment even more? And also, the rudder shift is letting you dodge actually quite a substantial amount of incoming damage at longer range, and the improved fire. Yeah, I saw that it was buffed on Lesta. And Jay Snow, I had a big question about that because Lesta has Ledgemod Montana. So if you run Ledgemod on Montana on Lesta after the buff, you actually will have Thunderer maneuverability. You actually will get like Thunderer rudder shift if you run Ledgemod on Lesta. Which that's pretty silly. That's undeniably quite silly, it must be said. Oh, yay. Amazing. Truly amazing. Truly amazing. So yeah, I think it's a good side grade on a good ship. There's plenty of situations where it will perform better than Conceal Montana. There's some situations where Conceal Montana. Also with the carrier rework, battleships will no longer be spotted from the air beyond 10 km. So anything that nerfs BB concealment will no longer nerf because BB's diff, right? Every time we change anything, we always have to passively buff battleships, right? Of course, we always have to buff battleships in some way. So Montana becomes significantly more tanky with this Ledgemod at the cost of concealment that in many games just doesn't really matter. So I do think it's a good side grade on a good ship. This is what is this? What is this one? I do not recall. Oh yeah, that's the Moskva. Boy, we're gonna trigger people. Moskva is a B. Moskva. I don't know why this is considered a pure buff because it objectively is not. Imagine Monty Ledgemont on main. All right, Icon, it's time to stop. You've cooked enough. It's time to stop. Monty Ledgemont on main. Dude, what a fucking but it's a good side grade. You're more accurate. But here's the problem. So there's two problems with Moskva Ledgemont, okay? One is that roughly half or more of your salvos in Moskva will be HE. When you're shooting HE at battleships and cruisers, the Ledgemont is hurting you, okay? Because you don't need the 7% dispersion buff when you're spamming HE at BBs and cruisers. The dispersion buff is valuable in two situations. It's valuable when you shoot AP at ships that are broadside that you can citadel, because you would rather stack the shells closer together. Like, let's say a Des Moines is in front of you in Moskva and it turns flat to you. You would rather have the improved dispersion, right? Because you're not going to shoot, you know what I mean? Like, no cruiser is going to stay flat to Moskva. Well, okay, I mean, I say that, but you get my point. Like, when a cruiser makes a bad mistake in front of your Moskva, you definitely would rather have the ledge mod for a more accurate AP volley. And at long range on destroyers, you would probably rather have the ledge mod when shooting HE, because you're probably overall going to hit like 1 or 2 more shells per salvo when you shoot small targets at longer range. But for your normal farming task in Moskva, where you're just spamming HE at BBs and cruisers, the ledge mod is not really that good. So it's definitely a good side grade. It's not a pure buff. There's too many situations where you would rather have reload for it to be considered, in my mind, a pure buff. Again, that's why we're using this definition. Good side grade? Yes. Good ship? Yes. Pure buff? No. Anytime you're fighting anything close range, including radar DDs, you'd rather have the reload. Anytime you're HE spamming at medium and long range, you'd rather have the reload. Anytime you're AP spamming at close range, you'd rather have the reload. You pretty much just want the improved dispersion for AP volleys on ships you're trying to citadel and shooting DDs at like medium range. Those are kind of the two situations where the ledge mod is great. And then probably half the time reload is slightly better. So it's definitely not a pure buff. Petro, again, is not a pure buff. Why do I don't understand why we pretend it's a pure buff on the subreddit. It is a side grade. Petro Ledgemont gives you 10% dispersion. Okay, it goes in slot 6. It gives you 10% better dispersion, which is great. And it gives you 10% better AP damage, which is great. But you give up a whole consumable in each. Okay? So, number one, it's already a side grade because you are improving your damage output to significantly gimp your survivability by giving up a 10,000 HP heal, and significantly gimp your utility by giving up a radar and giving up a hydro. But that's not all. If your goal in Petro is to improve your dispersion, the range mod on Petro is basically better for improving dispersion than the ledge mod. The ledge mod, what the ledge mod really does is give you obscenely accurate dispersion inside your radar range. That is the true value of the ledge mod, is giving you obscene dispersion specifically within your 12 km radar range. Once you get beyond that range, Range mod Petro significantly improves dispersion over ledge mod. So, number one, there are serious downsides in giving up the consumables. Number two, in half of situations, range mod is superior to ledge mod. And three, in order to make the ledge mod on Petro useful, you have to play a certain way. You have to hyper aggro for ledge mod Petro to be worth using. If you are playing ledge mod Petro and you are not consistently fighting ships inside your radar range, you're griefing yourself, right? Because you would be performing objectively better with range mod Petro. So you have to play it a certain way. It has serious downgrades, and there is an upgrade option that is in many situations better. But all that being said, I still think it's a good side grade and a good ship. It is a side grade. It makes Petro when played hyper aggressive better. It makes Petro when played any way other than hyper aggressive worse. So I like it. I always run it because I typically play Petro like a monkey. But most people will perform worse with the ledge mod than they will with range mod. That's just the way it is. You're giving up a ton of survivability by losing a heal. You're giving up a ton of utility by losing a 12 km radar. And you are giving up dispersion beyond your radar range by taking ledge mod over range. But the dispersion inside your range of your radar with ledge mod Petro is so demonic. Every time I use it, I giggle. I actually giggle when I radar DDs in ledge mod Petro because like you actually hit 6 out of 6 shells on them almost every single time. Because Petro already has the wonky nonlinear Russian dispersion curve where it's pinpoint accurate at close range and then the accuracy degrades around the 12 km mark. So you're buffing the already cracked close range dispersion by another 10%. And range mod doesn't do that. What range mod does on Petro is it buffs the dispersion beyond where the step up in bad dispersion happens, right? So you play hyper aggressive, it's absolutely fucking nutty. People make one mistake of angling at 10 kilometers to ledge mod Petro, and you actually like 4 to 6 citadel them. Republic is an immediate D tier. There's almost no discussion about that. I've said so many times, every time I rant on stream about Repub ledge mod, I just say it should have been Colombo ledge mod. All this ledge mod should have been was Colombo. Colombo ledge mod on Republic would be good and not overpowered. Ledge mod on Colombo is OP because it's a pure DPM ship. Ledge mod on Repub, if this was Colombo's ledge mod, it would probably be a good side grade. It would probably be up here, but yeah, you give up the range on Republic, which is one of the best things about it because Republic cannot play and survive at close range because the armor and the hull is dog shit. So you give up the range, which is one of its best assets. You give up, obviously, because of that range, a ton of worse vertical dispersion. And it's also on a bad ship. So it's just like the worst of all worlds. Colombo not on S tier. Why? Because S tier is a super ship version of the ship. And that is not Colombo ledge mod. Colombo ledge mod is a pure buff that you would never take off the ship. It does not make the ship magically a whole tier better than it used to be. It just doesn't. The only reason why we pretend that Colombo ledge mod is super ship ledge mod is because the usual suspects TM on YouTube and Twitch never played Colombo because they just couldn't be asked to figure out that like it's a DPM battleship. And then they never played it for 3 years. And then ledge mod Colombo came out and they all started playing it. And they were like, guys, ledge mod Colombo is so good. Colombo is, but the ledge mod isn't. If you take the ledge mod off of Colombo, your ship is like 5% worse. So it's a pure buff. But you can't say that taking a ledge mod off a ship and making it 5% worse makes it a whole tier worse, obviously. Like, Reload Colombo is a very good ship. Right? And honestly, if we're being honest, there are a very small amount of situations where reload Colombo is probably better. Like nut hair range, like actual nut hair range, like you're fighting ships at 10 kilometers. Reloading 2 seconds faster is probably slightly better, right? Also, range mod Colombo is not even that bad either. Like the ledge mod Colombo is not way better than reload Colombo. It's noticeably better. It's just that people never played Colombo. They played Colombo when it first came out. They said it was dog shit. They didn't play it for 3 years. They got the ledge mod and they're like, guys, Colombo ledge mod is cracked. It's like, that's true. But Colombo was always cracked. You guys just didn't want to figure out how to play it. Like, that's on you. Right? Okay. Our next one is... This is the Torps for Shima? Is Colombo worth playing without the ledge mod? Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. You do not need the ledge mod to play Colombo. It's a pure buff, right? Just like Elbing is a pure buff. But you do not need the ledge mod to play. Both range Colombo and reload Colombo are excellent ships. Dealer's fucking choice. Keep in mind, running range on Colombo gives you half the dispersion benefit that ledge mod gives you. If you run range on Colombo, you will gain about 3% vertical dispersion at most ranges. So, like, obviously it's not as good as ledge mod because you can always close the range. But, like, to pretend that Colombo goes from mediocre to super ship when you slap the ledge mod on it is just objectively wrong. You need to remember the buff it got to. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, after Colombo got the buff, when Colombo came out, it was good. It was an average, maybe slightly above average BB. It was a good battleship. When Colombo got buffed, what was that, maybe a year ago? It became one of the best battleships in randoms in the game. And then the ledge mod just makes it like 5-10% better. So it's a pure buff, but it is not the super ship version. This is Shima, right? The torp reload for Shima. The grind to Colombo makes you shiver. The grind is not great because the problem is, Magellan, they kind of only buffed Colombo and not really touched the rest of the tech tree. So the rest of the tech tree stayed okay. I mean, I don't think they're bad ships, but they're very okay. Colombo is a must. I would agree. Again, must get pure buff. Objectively true. Super ship, not true. Right? Yeah, you definitely should get Colombo, and you definitely should get the ledge mod. It's an amazing boat. This is Shima. Shima's at least a B, but I don't want to put it all the way in A. On paper, Shima is probably... On paper, Shima is like kind of a pure buff, but I don't really think that it actually is. So basically, this takes the place of Torpedo Reload, which you would always run on Shima, and it's an extra 10%. So this is 25% reload instead of 15%. However, it gives you a 70% hit to your torpedo tube traverse time. So what that means is on Shima, you are now forced to run location on your captain. Now, if you're the kind of player who always has run location on Shima, then it's a pure buff, right? But the problem is, I am of the personal opinion. You don't see CVUU? Yeah, no shit, Kaladin. We're not even going there. We're not even looking at those. I am of the opinion that Swift and Silent Shima is overall a better ship than Location Shima. And you do basically have to choose on Shima which one you want. You don't really have the points to spare. So if you run Swift and Silent Shima, what you'll find if you run Ledge Mod is you have to give up Swift and Silence for RPF. because the torp if the torp tubes are facing the wrong way and you get spotted by a DD who has decent guns, like you just die. You can't even torp them to defend yourself, right? So in my opinion, Yu Shima is a pure buff, but it requires location. And I don't like location on Shima. I prefer Swift and Silence. So I don't use the ledge mod on Shima because I want to play 47 knot Swift and Silent Shima and fly around the map. I think that while yes, this does equate to 10% torp DPM, I am of the opinion that being able to run around the map and get in different positions faster is probably giving you the same, at least effective torp damage output as Yu Shima with RPF. But it is a preference thing. So I'm definitely, and Shima's a good ship. Shima is a good ship, and this is a good side grade. But it does require a partial playstyle slash captain respec. Venezia is S tier for me. Why is Venezia an S tier ledge mod? Because Venezia's biggest problem, okay? Well, there's a chain of logic here. You start out by playing Venezia, and you very quickly discover that Venezia wants to be a lighthouse cruiser. Like, everything about the ship is demanding, like, not taking heavy sap feels horrible because heavy sap just makes your salvos so much punchier, right? And then having a permanent reload buff going with top grade gunner makes it feel like you actually have DPM. So buffing your DPM in the Venezia by 20% feels right. It feels like the right way to play the ship. I feel like anyone who plays Ven long enough will inevitably go through this thought process cycle of, God damn it, I really need to play Lighthouse Ven because you just pump out so much more damage with Lighthouse Ven. But then, what happens when you play Lighthouse Ven, which I did, before the Ledge mod, I would usually play Lighthouse Ven. But what you find when you play Lighthouse Ven is you're without the smoke forever. And the problem is you can never really push with the smoke on old Lighthouse Ven. Because what happens is you push in, you get spotted at 17.5, you take some incoming fire, you do a pretty good job of dodging it, and then you get pretty close. You get like 12, 13 kilometers from the enemy team, and now it's time to smoke. And then while you're smoking, you're in their mouth, you pump out 3 sap salvos at like 12 kilometers. You can target unsaturated parts. You pump out mega damage when you push in Ven with the smoke. And then you're without the smoke for 3 minutes. And while you're without the smoke for 3 minutes trying to run away, you lose half of your ship, and then you get the smoke back, and then it's like, well, I can't really afford to push in again because now half my ship is gone, right? And Ledge Mod Venezia allows you to play Venezia the way it wants to be played, but the way it kind of struggles to play when you don't have. Once you get ledge mod for Ven, everything just clicks. Everything just all of a sudden clicks. The boat goes from an AFK kiter basically griefing your team. Seriously, if you play Lighthouse Ven without the ledge mod, I do think you're almost borderline griefing your team because you have effectively no game impact because you can only push like once every 5 minutes, right? But the second you get ledge mod Ven, everything clicks, dude. And it's just better than Piemonte. Like, ledge mod Ven is just kind of a better ship than Piemonte. Because Venezia also gets the spotter plane, so you can run Eye in the Sky, which completely negates your bad range when you run reload mod to play Lighthouse Ven. So you can completely negate every single issue that Lighthouse Ven has, and Lighthouse Ven is the best way to play Ven. So you negate every problem that Lighthouse Ven has by slapping the ledge mod on it, and you make the ship 20-30% better. Like, there is just no reason to play Piemonte when Lighthouse Ven exists. The sole value Piemonte has is a bit better armor, which again doesn't matter because you're smoked up way more. And then Piemonte can pen 60, so there's a very small select handful of ships that Piemonte can pen upper belts on and Ven can't. Um, and that's it, right? This is Super Ship Ven. When you play Lighthouse Ven and you go from normal Lighthouse Ven to Ledge Mod Lighthouse Ven, you feel like you are now in the Super Ship version of Lighthouse Ven. Amazing. I would just straight up say you don't grind Venezia. You do not grind Venezia without the Ledge Mod in mind. You do not grind Smoke Minnow without the Ledge Mod in mind. You do not grind Golden Lion without getting the Ledge Mod. By all means, grind Colombo without the Ledge Mod. If you don't have the research points for it, this is not a ship where you like are trolling to not have the Ledge Mod on it. It makes your ship 5-10% better. It's a nice little pure buff, but you can play it without it. Oh yeah, this was Vermont because the new ones weren't on. Vermont is definitely B. I'm tempted to put it all the way down in C. Well, number one, Vermont is a good ship. Okay? Vermont is a good ship. Is the Vermont Ledge Mod a good side grade? That is the question. Is the Vermont Ledge Mod a good side grade? You give up concealment. So you give up your cruiser concealment. You've never played CC without Yu and Cincinnati. I mean, I've played it without either, and it was still a great ship. Like that's kind of my point. Colombo was always good. Post buff, it was great. It's just a little bit extra flavor with the Ledge Mod, right? I don't even know if Vermont Ledge Mod is a good. Vermont is probably the most opposite. You know, we always say what do we always say? BBs aren't DPM ships. Some BBs are, but Vermont certainly is the exact opposite of a DPM ship. There are many times in Vermont there are ships spotted, you could shoot at them, and you wait literally minutes sometimes to not shoot. Because you know a guy's going to make a mistake. You shoot, the guns are reloading, there's a cruiser, you know he's going to make a maneuver, and you're just waiting, 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 he makes a maneuver, you blow him up, right? You might have waited a minute 20 seconds to shoot that salvo that was already loaded. So it's a fundamentally flawed ledge mod in the sense that improving the reload time on Vermont by 4 seconds in 80% of situations is not even useful, but there are situations where ledge bomb Vermont is amazing, right? You're in a brawl, you're in a 1v1 with a BB, you're in a 1v1 with a cruiser, you just want to shoot faster. So there's plenty of situations where Vermont ledge mod is excellent, especially when it stacks with like Halsey Confederate. Half HP Vermont with ledge mod with Halsey buff kicking in is like a 27-second reload. You can get like sub 30-second reload Vermont just by getting Halsey and still being full HP, which is obviously like fucking absurd that that's even possible. Halsey diff. But it's definitely a side grade. I think we'll keep it in B. It's a good side grade. There's many situations where it's better to have ledge mod. There's also many situations where it's better. The problem with ledge mod is you give up your cruiser spotting ability. And on Vermont, like you think of the ships, right? Hindenburg, Henry, you outspot those ships. Like, there's a bunch of heavy cruisers that you're maybe 1 km less stealthy than. You outspot basically every BB in the game that's more than 2 years old. Overall, concealment Vermont is probably slightly better, but there's definitely quite a few situations where ledge mod is good. This is Worcester, right? American BB dispersion mod, dude. Honestly, though, like actually, American BB dispersion mod, it goes in S tier. Super ship must get. This is Worcester though. Worcester's a pretty bad ledge mod. It's pretty bad. I'm trying to think. Where would I put this? The problem with Worcester ledge mod is the whole point, right? The whole point of the ledge mod is you can spam util. Okay? Now, the problem with Worcester is that it has 9 kilometer radar. 9 kilometer radar is 3 times, 4 times worse than 10 kilometer radar, immeasurably worse than 10 km, just because of how the maps in this game are very clearly designed with 10 kilometer radar in mind. There's so many maps in this game that have a perfectly safe cruiser island that covers the entire cap if you're 10 kilometer radar, and when you're 9 kilometer radar, you don't cover the whole cap and you have to expose yourself. So Worcester to me is already like inherently a worse ship than Des Moines. It has more DPM and fire starting, but less effective DPM because of the pen, because of the worse AP. The radar's harder to use. So getting an extra consumable. So there's basically 2 thought processes that I would say exist for the Worcester ledge mod. Okay. One thought process is you can completely give up superintendent, and this just takes the spot of superintendent, because this also reduces the reload time, not the duration time, of all your consumables by 20%. So you reload the radar, 20 seconds faster. You reload the heal 10 seconds faster, right? So this ledge mod is better than running superintendent because it takes the place of superintendent and gives you consumable reload time. But you give up 12% DPM, 12% fire starting, because this takes the spot of reload mod. So in my opinion, the extra radar and the radar reload on this is totally meaningless. The heal is basically totally meaningless. To me, in my opinion, the true value of Worcester ledge mod is as an AA ship. You keep superintendent, you run the 4-point AA skill, and you run the ledge mod, and you are the AA boat of all AA boats, because the DFAA is always loaded, right? But like, it's not really helping you radar, because Worcester radar is somewhat hard to use. It's just in a tough spot. What I would probably say is that this ledge mod has value if you want to run IFHE Worcester. Now, I personally don't think that IFHE Worcester is good, or as good as no IFHE Worcester. I don't think it's as good. But if you run IFHE Worcester, then I would say ledge mod is probably pretty decent. Because it lets you give up superintendent, and IFHE is kind of taking the place of your DPM because you now have more effective DPM. You don't care about the 12% reduction in your now non-existent fire starting, right? So I would say it's slightly better on IFHE Worcester than non-IFHE Worcester, but it's still just kind of bad. It's just kind of like a fundamentally flawed concept, especially in 2025. Like, are you aggressing on DDs so much in a Worcester in 2025 that you're burning radars? I don't really think so, dude. I don't really think so. This is Yamato, and I think Yamato is B. Yamato ledge mod takes the place of, realistically, it takes the place of reload or range. I mean, Yamato has crazy range. So you keep the same turret traverse nerf that reload mod gives you. So all this does is you lose 12% damage output for 7% dispersion. Now, again, this is not a pure buff. There are Yamato, right? We always say BBs aren't DPM ships. Yamato is a DPM ship. Yamato has meaningful overmatch on a large proportion of every ship in the game. Every ship in the game can be overmatched in substantially large areas by Yamato guns. So if there is a ship that's bow in at medium range, Yamato pumps DPM into it, right? Now, however, The Yamato ledge mod does make you substantially more consistent on shooting broadsides. So that's why I would call this a good side grade. You're gaining a noticeably better broadside smashing ability, and you're losing a meaningful amount of damage output at close range. So again, I just don't think you can call that a pure buff. Yamato's a DPM ship. If Yamato had 410 millimeter guns, we'd go pure buff, right? If Yamato had Izumo guns, we would go pure buff, because Izumo's definitely not a DPM ship. You don't overmatch, every cruiser in tier 10 and every BB in, right? Like Yamato's overmatch over Izumo is unbelievably high of a step up, right? So to me, you can't really call that a pure buff. Anytime you're fighting at close range, it's worse than reload Yamato. And realistically, bow in targets when you're in DPM mode, it's probably about as good, right? It's probably about as good. If you're farming like a bow in Jean Bart, the reloading 4 seconds faster versus, maybe hitting on average half a shell more per salvo with ledge mod. I'd say that's probably an even split. And then ledge mod makes you better when shooting broadsides and worse when fighting at close range. So I don't know. To me, it's like a B. YY is now okay. We're gonna try again, like with Henry. We're trying to put my own personal bias aside because I love ledge mod YY. I love it. I think it's one of the funniest ledge mods in the game, because you effectively have Moskva radar that you can position anywhere on the map for free. So it's like having you have a 41 second radar with ledge mod YY. It's really funny to just, you don't even have to fight DDs with it. You can just hard bully any cap for free. It almost completely covers the amount of time it takes you to cap. So in ledge mod YY, if they don't have radar, you can back your ass into the cap. As you enter the cap, you just hit the radar. Even if there's no DD there, you just hit the radar. If the enemy DD is pushing the cap, they come into the radar, and they have to travel a full kilometer deeper into the radar to counterspot you on ship detect, which they'll never do if they have sense. So you can basically just like insta deny caps if you get there first. But it's not that good. I mean, realistically, it's not that good. It's on a good ship. It's probably realistically a mediocre side grade on a good ship. And I say that as a ledge mod YY lover. I love the ledge mod on Yueyang. But like realistically, it's just not as good as gun reload or it's just not as good as concealment overall, right? Here's the ultimate problem with ledge mod YY. The ultimate issue with ledge mod YY is there are a substantial amount of gunboats that absolutely take a gigantic poo-poo all over you that you now can't outspot. Druid, Alvaro de Bazan, realistically like Marceau, Sherman, Z42, right? All of these ships, you have like a meaningful, because normal YY is what, 5.8, 5.9 detect? You have a meaningful amount of spotting advantage over Marceaus and Shermans and Hoffmans and Elbings and Alvaro de Bazans and Hayates, right? You have a meaningful spotting advantage over them. And the problem with ledge mod YY is you're basically forced to take gun duels that you can't. That's the only thing that sell YY to me. What? The ledge mod or the fact that it actually has decent concealment? The problem with ledge mod is you get forced into gun duels that you really shouldn't be taking because you just can't get away. Like, you know what I mean? Like, daring outspots you by like there's way too many ships. A full conceal Smollin, bro. Like, you're going in, you're tooling around the cap, you get spotted in YY, and you hit the radar to counter spot them, and you find out that it's a ship that poops on you. Now, you do have respectable DPM. With a full gun build, Ledgema YY has about the same DPM as the Daring. But the problem is you have really bad shell arcs. So the second the enemy DD opens the range up to even like 7.5 kilometers, 8 kilometers, you're kind of fucked because you just don't hit them, right? Like the shell arc, this has the worst shell arcs in tier 10. This and gearing. That's the only thing the ledge mod sells it to you. I mean, it's fun. It's just super fun. Imagine if there is a DD with 7 km stealth radar that lasts like 2 minutes. Try 3 minutes, Icon, and there is, baby. Z57. Let's fucking get it. Z57. Let's fucking go, dude. What a game. Truly a game design of all time, the Z57. Undeniably a game design of all fucking time, bro. You get mostly shatters in your YY. Well, I mean, it has like normal HE pen. You know what I mean? Now, one thing that YY does have going for it, and people don't acknowledge this as much, in my opinion, as I think they should, is YY is an exceptionally small ship. So, while you do not have a ton of HP, and while you do not have a ton of DPM, at very close range, YY tends to trade very favorably with ships on paper it should lose to, because you're 2/3 the size of them, right? Like YY versus Småland. Logic would tell you that Småland wins that fight with like a 2-to-1 diff damage output. But YY is so noticeably more small. Isn't it kind of the same as the gearing? Yeah, but it doesn't have gearing's nice 21 millimeter plate. Yeah, it's the same in size. Yeah, it's hard to hit. It's just a tiny ship. It's substantially smaller than most of the gunboats it fights. Even like Daring sticks out of the water like 50% more than YY. So when you're in a YY and you run into a Daring, you actually tend to usually outdamage them because you kind of have comparable DPM with Ledgemod gun spec YY, but you're harder to hit than Daring is, right? But then Daring is the heal. So ultimately, the true issue that Ledgemod YY has, like I said, is you get forced into counter-radaring ships you don't really want to fight. And then you're just slugging it out. You're kind of reliant, like, does your team help you? Does your team not help you? Whereas with normal full concealment Yueyang, even with radar, you can get spotted and counter radar, and it's a Shima. And, like, you can kind of decide, like, do I want to gun him or does he have too much help? And I can easily get away, right? But it's so silly. Radaring destroyers on caps for, like, 41 seconds. And it also confuses people because if there's, like, a Nevsky or right? Any U.S. radar, any British radar, any 12 km Russian radar, or, any Moskva, Nevsky, or any US or British cruiser, people can actually get legitimately confused by what's radaring them because you have heavy cruiser radar duration. With the full spec, you have 41 second duration radar. So if there's a radar cruiser with you, and like half the radar cruisers in the game have 40-second radar, if they build a certain way, you can legitimately confuse players that they've been radared by the Moskva. They've been radared by the Des Moines, the Alaska, the Puerto Rico, right? And then they decide to push back into the cap and there's still a radar and they've totally forgotten. It like hasn't even entered their mind that you're a YY radar, right? Z52 is easily D. Not only is it a bad ledge mod on a bad ship, there are others, like the Hoffman is ledge mod Z52. Like, Hoffman is an objectively superior version of the Z52 ledge mod. So, if you don't have Hoffman, then obviously that's irrelevant to you. But, like, basically, if you run Hoffman with a full torpedo spec, you just end up with what Z52 ledge mod could have been, which is Z52 ledge mod with extra torpedo range. I mean, again, like, there's so many ships in the game with, like, Z52 has 10.5 kilometer torp range, right? If I want to play with 10.5 kilometer shitty torps on a shitty boat, I'm going to play Torpsbeck Hoffman. I'm going to play La Pampa. Trying to turn the Z-52 into a radar boat, or sorry, a torp boat, especially in the year of our Lord 2025. Just really weird. Just a really weird choice. And it makes it much harder to hydro people because now you have like 6-4 detect. Super questionable edge mod. I mean, number one, Z52 is not worth playing. Just get the Z42 for steel. It's like a way better shift. This should be a buff. Like, I should put it in a buff, or you wish it was a buff? I wish it was a buff. Personally, I think you could put the Z52. I mean, they never would. But personally, I think that the Z52 ledge mod could, like, easily not nerf your concealment. Then I guess it would be a pure buff. I don't know, dude. It's just in a really shitty spot to me. Whoa. It's just in a really shitty spot to me right now. Because, like, again, Hoffman exists, and it's just a way better version of this thing. I just think they should buff the values. Just buff. Yeah, it should have 12 cam torps. 100% J Snow. There's no reason. Like, Hoffman has 12s. Elbing has 13 5s. Right? Like, there's no reason, man. There's no reason it has this terrible torp range. If they buff this, if they like seriously buffed the values on this ledge mod, it could maybe be worth using. Oh, I see. You wish this ledge mod buff just got applied. Yeah. I mean, it should almost. But, like, in my mind, you could just take... Because this gives you... it's a 15% torp reload. The torps are 0.1 km stealthier now. And they're marginally faster. Like, to me, this could be like a 25% torp reload and a 20% detectability buff. And, like, maybe we'd be talking about a mediocre side grade on a bad ship, but sad. Zhao is probably, unfortunately, just C. Zhao ledge mod is a good side grade. Yes, it is a side grade. It is not a pure buff, right? It is definitely not a pure buff. It gives, basically what it does is it gives you 7% dispersion and 8% range. Now, it does take away the nerf to reload mod. So if for some reason you run reload mod Zhao, then the ledge mod Zhao is just better. Because, well, I mean, why would you run reload mod Zhao? But the thing is, really, the ledge mod is helping you only in two situations. One is shooting destroyers, and two is trying to AP cruisers that you Citadel. It's kind of in the same situation as Moskva's ledge mod. The difference is Moskva is a very good ship, right? Having less than 12 cam torps in tier 10 is quite the experience, to be sure. Zhao is just not worth playing. Like to me, like why would I play Zhao? Like, why would I play Zhao, dude? If I want to open water HE farm, there's like 10 cruisers that are better. Like, Zhao's true. Basically, here's my use case for Zhao ledge mod. You play with a destroyer player and your budget Ven. Right? Because Zhao with ledge mod does crack DDs in half. Undeniably, like the one thing ledge mod Zhao does is crack DDs in half. So if you play Zhao in a division with a destroyer scouting for you, aka spotting DDs for you to shoot, right? Because Zhao's concealment is cracked, right? Zhao is less than 10 km detect. So if you're div with a Shima or a YY or a Gearing or something, and he spots an enemy Shima at 10 kilometers from you and you're running ledge mod Zhao, that guy's getting nuked, right? Like, we're talking bordering on a Venezia salvo, like 2/3 of a Ven salvo. We need Billy Don Shima game. Dude, Billy Don is the GOAT. My GOAT, Billy Don. Okay, so we're clear on the definitions. That's why these are in the slots that they're in. Now, I think we could probably say, what do you get first? Right? I can kind of reorder these in terms of my like preference of how good I personally like them. I definitely think Minnow is the best of the ledge mods because Minnow is a great ship that you can swap out for radar. Minnow should be the first light cruiser you probably get, right? So like Minotaur is an amazing boat. You're going to buy this boat anyway. And then it has a super ship worthy S tier ledge mod on top of one of the ways you can play it. So I'd probably get that first and then. And honestly, guys, the Utrecht is so good that if I want to play a ship with airstrikes, I think I'm playing Utrecht these days. That doesn't diminish how strong Golden Lion ledge mod is. It still turns GL into super ship GL. But it undeniably, the order I would get these has probably fallen off slightly because I think Utrecht and Golden Lion are about as good. Golden Lion has way better airstrikes. Utrecht has way better guns, right? But I would probably say that's like the order on how much I like playing the ships that have those. Colombo's probably one of the first ledge mods you get. You definitely didn't get the Richthofen unique upgrade. Oh my god, bro. And then Elbing, like, these are definitely ledge mods that you should plan to get, right? These are ledge mods that I wouldn't even get the ship without them, and that's why they're in S tier. They're super ship level of strength. Like, if you asked me, if you came into my chat and you said, should I research Minotaur in 2025? I don't play radar cruisers. My answer to you would be, if you are going to buy the ledge mod for Minnow, absolutely you should research Minotaur. If you're not going to get the ledge mod for Minnow, do not play Minotaur. If you're not going to play radar Minotaur, please do not play normal smoke Minnow. It's pretty bad, right? Same thing with Venezia. If you said, hey, is Venezia worth getting in 2025? I would say not if you're not getting the ledge mod. You know? Everyone is a Varibu at some point. I used to only play Turpits and GK. Yeah, the Varibu really hit me when I was into gun collecting. Because everyone and their grandma jerks their cock over German World War II era firearms. And the reality is most of them kind of suck ass. But, like, they tend to have cool and interesting designs. So, like, there's a lot of cock jerking about German World War II firearms that isn't really warranted at all. Like, many countries had better guns overall than the Germans had, right? The Germans kind of just really perfected like the universal machine gun concept, but like their auto-loading rifles were horseshit dog ass, right? A ton of their pistol designs were shit. So I got bit by the Varibu bug in real life when it came to guns for about 4 or 5 years. And then I was like, these guns suck. they're not even good. They're not even good. Yeah, like the MG42. But like, I was obsessed with Gewehr 43s. I was obsessed with them. And then I shot one and I was like, this gun is actually dog shit. Not only is the gun dog shit, it's so badly designed that if you want to safely shoot it, you actually have to spend hundreds of dollars on a reproduction kit to let the gun not break itself in half. Like, they made some horrible firearms. But they always had like a kind of interesting design, right? It's like, oh, it's German, it's cool. The Nazi super weapon. It's like, nah. Sometimes, right? Sometimes. And then as far as the good side grades on good ships, for me, probably Petro's at the top. I love the Petro Ledge mod. It really works with how I play the game. The Des Moines Ledge mod is really, really great. Let's see, Yamato. I don't play Yamato, so I wouldn't get it. The Vermont Ledge mod, I play Vermont with Ledge mod now, but like realistically, I typically miss the concealment more. Shima, I don't like RPF Shima, so I probably wouldn't get it. Moskva is just not that necessary. It's probably maybe a bit more worth getting than these. Henry I would never get, because even if I play Lighthouse Henry, I prefer Rudder Shift. I would probably get Monty Ledge mod actually over these. Kremlin Ledge mod I would get because Probably not. I don't really play Kremlin. It's probably like pretty low, but it's not a bad ledge mod. Maybe like here, maybe something like this. Decent side grades on bad ships or mediocre side grade on good ships. I would say the Kaba ledge mod is probably still at least near the top. The Kaba and YY because I just love them so much. The Conch is probably way down there. The Worcester's way down there as well. The Hindenburg is maybe a bit above the rest of these. Gross is pretty low on the totem pole too. German engineering meme went deep into everyone's minds. Yeah, it really did. The Holland ledge mod is a good side grade. I just would never play Holland. Same thing with Zhao. Gearing at least has a place in clan battles. Hindi at least has a place as it is the objectively best version of Lighthouse Hindi. I'd probably put it somewhere like that. And then as far as the really terrible ledge mods that you should never use, you could at least make the case, right? These are all terrible ledge mods and usually on terrible ships. I mean, Daring's a great ship. Repub is shit and the ledge mod is shit. Z52 is shit and the ledge mod is shit. Same with Haru, same with GK. You can at least make the case that the Daring ledge mod is silly goofy. The Daring and the Z52 ledge mods at least make the ship funny. There's like meme potential, right? There is at least some memeing potential with those ledge mods, and I guess that's worth something, right? Like, because you can get Daring torp reload down to an obscenely low torp reload, and the torps now hit like a truck, because it's what? The ledge mod is what, 15% damage, and they hit for like 16.7 base. So the Daring torps basically hit for like 19 plus thousand a hit. And you can get the torp reload down with a full torp spec on Daring, like super low. And same thing with Z52. So like at least there's some memeing ability. But like the ledge mod Haru is just horrific these days. There's so many ships that do that. But Repub's probably by far the worst. The GK ledge mod you can at least meme, right? We in our clan we call it the ranked GK build TM, where you take ledge mod GK, you take close quarters combat on your captain, and you take the 406 caliber guns, and your default reload inside of 11k, and you take the secondary range mod. Let's see if I have it built. You can at least meme. You can at least meme in the GK with the ledge mod. Let's see if I have a captain with the silly goofy build. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. This is it. This is the ranked TM Grosser Kurferst build. You run vigilance, so you spot torpedoes at 5 kilometers. You spot torpedoes at 5 kilometers. You run hydro mod and hydro flag, so you have a 3 kilometer hydro that spots torps at 5 km. You take secondary range, and you take this skill. And you take the 406s, and you take the ledge mod, and then you get a base reload on full HP. A base reload on 4 HP of like 21 seconds with ledge mod. So you have a 21 second base reload on 12 406s. So if you play it in ranked and you play it like a monkey, it is kind of silly goofy because no one is ready. Absolutely nobody. And then you get a little bit of adrenaline rush kicking, right? You maybe lose like a quarter of your health and you're on a 19-second reload GK. And no one's ready for that. I can tell you that much. Nobody is ready for the 19-second GK salvos. You just go flat to them and you just slug. You just slug damage into people. So at least there's meme potential on these three. But, like, there's really not even meme potential on the Haru because, like, you're not even as good of a smoke bot as other ships. And then there's not even meme potential on Repub because, like, it's 1 second off your reload, dude. Like, it's 1 second off your reload. Yeah, I mean, it's just dumb. And the holy shit, like GK works in the Slugfest ranked build TM because you can shatter HE. Like you don't get fried by high explosive ammo. So it actually kind of works a bit. But that's probably like the order I'm getting them in based on strength and how much I like them. Because like again, like realistically, if I was on a brand new account, right? Let's say I was on a brand new account, I would probably grind Minnow and Minnow would be the first cruiser I would get on a brand new account, and it would be the first ledge mod I would get. Colombo would probably be the first BB I would get and the first ledge mod I would get. But I still don't think that's a different discussion, right? Than if it's just how strong it is. Like the Colombo ledge mod is like a 10% buff to your boat, but these are just like obscene buffs. I mean, dude, this is like a 30+% buff to Smoke Minnow. This is like a 50% buff to Smoke Ven or Lighthouse Ven. This is probably like a 30% buff to Golden Lion, right? So that is the theory there. That is the theory there. Jesus Christ, dude. The last video was way too long. This one's going to be way too long too. Oh well.